And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, Monday, February 9th. We've got a 7-game main slate, same on both sites. 10 games overall. If you want to play the late slate, you've got a 3-game 10 o'clock start, so you could have some fun. We've got a very chalk Nikola Jokic and a lot of question marks everywhere else. We just got one question mark answered. Jalen Smith not playing today. We'll address it shortly. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter, at Josh Engleman, at Eric Lindquist. What's going on, brother?
Oh, good news for me. Jalen Smith out. Yabusele bet him last night, ready to rock with him today. He's interesting on this DFS slate, that is for sure. But overall, there's more of a crowded backcourt there in Chicago, so that's a thing. We have Jamal Murray questionable. That's a thing. Jokic is on this slate. You brought that up. Of course, that's a thing. And we have a 2-hour window of late swapping around from 7 p.m. Eastern until 9 p.m. Eastern. So should be a really good advantageous slate to be utilizing the Sims, utilizing the late swap tool, and that makes me happy. How you doing?
I'm good. We're going to have a lot to talk about. There's a sea of 4K garbage out there today that we got to wade through. And we got to talk about what it looks like to roster Nikola Jokic and what it looks like to not have Nikola Jokic. I think those are all pretty big discussion points. We've got a few teams dominating the ownership table right now. Sacramento is soaking up a ton of it. Jokic on his own is soaking up a ton of it. Chicago is likely about to soak up much more than they were before after this Jalen Smith news. I think we need to start with Sacramento, which doesn't feel awesome, but we've got a lot of ownership coming into these guys. Devin Carter at 3,800 is 60% owned. Dylan Cardwell is 45% owned. Daquan Plowden is 35% owned. We're still getting 20 to Neek Clifford, 15 more for Raynaud. The guys that aren't getting it are the dudes that we all know. Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan. How do you want to manage this ownership on Sacramento, given they're also playing a team that's like not awesome?
Yeah, not awesome. And also they just got done playing an up-tempo spot against Cleveland at home and a couple of other interesting facets that we've got. I just pulled up your analytics tool as well, the NBA rotations tool, which is now live over here at Stokastic, just kind of working through what we just saw. We saw Clifford, Plowden, Westbrook, DeRozan, Raynaud, but the interesting one, obviously, is Devin Carter because of where that price point is, because he's a decent fantasy performer there at a fantasy point a minute where we've got him at. And there's just minutes that have opened up here for these Sacramento guys as it's gotten a little bit more diluted. You don't have Domantas Sabonis, so that's going to be great from a fantasy perspective. You have no Levine and Monk. You still have no Keegan Murray, although that's been accounted for. But now you're also removing DeAndre Hunter, who was acquired from the equation. And it just makes sense to have Devin Carter prioritized. I mean, he's point guard, shooting guard. He looks absolutely ridiculous. I don't have a ton to say there. It starts to get interesting with everybody else because when you look at this slate as a whole, we've got 8 p.m. Eastern time, this game starting. And I think whether it's Dylan Cardwell, whether it's, Daquan Plowden, guys that are pulling ownership here, it depends on when we get the Jamal Murray news because Julian Strother started last game and he's remained pretty cheap. We got Christian Brown back, but I don't expect like a crazy allotment of minutes. Like I've seen his minutes projection everywhere and I'm a little surprised across the board at where he's listed at. And Tim Hardaway Jr. has just been a volume scorer, like an absolute scorer. And so like, I don't know what I make about a lot of these Sacramento guys, but I think the timing of the news is more important than the news itself. Because Devin Carter prioritized no matter what, and everybody else, shooting guard, small forward, it's going to depend on what Tim Hardaway Jr. and Julian Strother look like come 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, the Plowden-Clifford combo, Plowden in particular, is the one that scares me the most. I have no qualms with Carter, sub 4K price tag, MPE. Every bit of that looks fine. Fantasy point per minute guy, I think that piece all looks good.
Yeah.
Plowden being a 0.73 guy in our projections and already being in for 31 and a half minutes, that one gets really scary to me. I always wonder what I can see otherwise. But, 8 o'clock start, I don't mind holding that ownership for a while. Neek Clifford scares the hell out of me. 0.81 fantasy points per minute, already in for 33 and a half minutes. 19% optimal, 19% owned. Great positionality, very scary price tag, and not the best boom in the world for what we're seeing here and the likely pivots we can find. I want to keep it right now to Carter and Caldwell and then see where we end up after that.
Yeah.
Because I'll have these guys, but I think we'll have opportunities to get off of them.
Correct. And that's where the shooting guard small forward for, whether it's Bruce Brown, Julian Strother, 44, 4,200, like we should be able to swap some of these guys around and not have it be that much of a concern. We'll get into some earlier game stuff here as well. But I mean, this is obviously kind of straddling the difference between, where the slate starts and where the slate finishes. And where the slate finishes is so dependent. Like Jamal Murray's played through this, through a lot of different Q tags throughout this entire year. I don't know what to make of his, but considering at this exact same time, we get the massive piece of news of Jalen Johnson. Like, I think that that's the major tipping point of this slate for me. And what I plan to do specifically is the Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson Q tags. Like, I think there's so much that can change. And, we've got some options that we can fire up early that are spend ups, and you can't reverse engineer your lineups after the fact. But I'm okay playing some of these Sacramento value guys just over the field right now and trying to figure it out, hoping that news breaks specifically for Jamal Murray, because that being the latest game, that's the one that could get a little bit overlooked as a result. And then Atlanta could just look nuclear if both of those guys are out. And then everything is just going to be disregarded in terms of Sacramento value because all those Atlanta guys are better performers.
How would you like to manage this first game? We've got Pistons Hornets, which is oddly now like a super interesting basketball game for the East. The Hornets have been really exciting over the past 2 months. We're not waiting on any news here. Ron Holland already out for the Pistons. Kobe White already out for the Hornets. Otherwise, everybody's already in. We're not waiting. We're not going to get anything in 22 minutes that we don't really expect, I hope. And we've got a little bit of ownership coming into LaMelo, Cade, Knipple, Diabate, Brandon Miller. Do you want to lock anything in here? I don't mean lock like they're lock players, but like how much are you willing to have of this lone 7:00 start?
So Cade Cunningham becomes the priority. You just look at raw fantasy points when you're going to get value coming up later. And Cade is definitely that for me. 10K, not as advantageous as like a LaMelo Ball on a number of different ways. We're like, hey, he's 8K. You don't need absolute evisceration from him, but I like the nuclear ceilings here. I like the Cade Cunningham plus Jokic type lineups that I'm looking at right now. I think that those make a ton of sense. And you get Cade where he's just playing massive minutes. And then Duren has just kind of been more limited in some of these spots. Obviously, he got dinged up with the knee issue, and that ripped him off the floor and kind of put some stuff into flux the last couple games. Didn't need him last time against the Knicks. Holy mother of God. That was just a dumb run out of a basketball game. But Duren's back for this one. Maybe a tiny downtick there. But like overall, LaMelo Ball looks fine. But I really like Cade Cunningham sitting right now at 13% ownership. And it's just kind of my belief on a lot of these early games when you have a ton of value and things that can show up later. Like, it's not just value that's going to look better for Atlanta. We've got Okongwu, we've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, we've got McCollum to some extent too. These guys are not exactly 4K, 5K guys. So like, there's this mid-range that could look really, really good on the Atlanta side later. And that's what I'm comparing Con Knipple and Brandon Miller and Tobias Harris and Asar Thompson to. And when you start comparing that, and then you compare the fact that they're already pulling like 7, 8, 9% ownership, and you pull up Atlanta where they're currently at, I get it. You're watching this program, you're probably going to be people late swapping like me, but I can tell you one thing. If Con Knipple came up 11% ownership and we have the negative leverage on him right now, as much as I like him as a real life basketball player, he's playing the Detroit Pistons today. And I have a chance to get CJ McCollum coming up later in a spot where even at 8.5, 9.5, probably moves to like 10.5 in the event that Jalen Johnson's out here. I think we are in a really good spot with him, and the ownership should stay pretty much in check as long as that comes out after lock.
I love the Cade shout earlier. And you all over the situation we might be seeing if we get Atlanta breaking the right way. Yeah, I like this spot for Cade just because I feel like people will not necessarily want to be there right out of the gate because it's the opener. I think that ultimately ends up with him being under-owned because we'll get additional future value down the line. And if you're going to be taking people against Charlotte, like Charlotte's offense is exceptional. The defense, take it or leave it. This strikes me as a decent spot for Cade. I don't mind locking him in early. No problems with it whatsoever because he's going to play massive minutes. And if Charlotte's going to be better, hopefully these massive minutes are competitive and getting Cade out there for 36, 37, 38 minutes potentially today. That's our early start.
Can I ask you one guy in that game that I wanted to ask you about? What do you think about
100%.
Diabate in this spot? Because he's the one that I didn't bring up, and I'm having a tough time figuring out exactly what I want to do with him. We have the center position, which right now, like Okongwu and, like a Jock Landale, I don't think they're going to share the floor together. I'm not sure if you do. I'm not sure if there's anything that you kind of see with Atlanta, with Jalen Johnson being out, where they could potentially ever share the floor together in any way, shape, or form. I think it just becomes like a little bit more interesting to fire up more McCollum with the Daniels piece. I think it becomes, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Risa Shea to some extent too, who, now that the trade deadline's passed and everything seems to have settled down for him, has looked a lot better. But I don't know what to make of the Atlanta rotation just because we haven't seen it since Landale arrived. And I don't know if that means Mo Gay gets sent to the Shadow Realm or if he ends up being somebody that gets inserted into this. And the main reason I'm saying all of this is that Diabate, he's under-owned in our projections to some extent, very, very lightly, but like he's a guy that I expect to play like 30, 32 minutes in competitive spots. And both of these teams have not played a ton of competitive games. Charlotte's been awesome for like a month and a half. And when he gets these kind of spots, they ride him a lot more. Colt Brenner's been playing 15, 16 minutes in a ton of these like competitive spots. So like, I don't know if I want to use up a center spot at 5,400 for him, knowing that I'm going to have a ton of Jokic. And if you had like a Okongwu and Landale start together for whatever reason, or Mo Gay up there, I'd really hate using up that spot. So just wanted to get your Diabate take.
Scares me in this matchup for sure.
Big time.
Not the most ideal spot for him. Doesn't like, I could see the path to it. I feel like I'd rather grab a center from later in the day. If this game were later on in the night, I might have a bit more interest in him. I don't love it locking it in at 7.
Okay. That's the way that I feel right now, but I just feel like there's still these kind of ceilings for Diabate, even in difficult spots, because of the way he accumulates fantasy points. I mean, he's like 8.5 points. You're looking for like 13, 14 rebounds where they just need him on the floor against Duren, and every single possession Duren's out on the floor. Like barring foul trouble, we're like, Diabate needs to be out there. He's the much better defender between the two. I think that's very apparent in anything. But 5,400 for him, it's still, it doesn't feel necessary is probably the right way of saying it. And so I'm right now hitting eject on it, but he's the one guy that I'm just going to kind of be paying attention to. If we do get Jalen Johnson in on this show, Dyson Daniels in on this show, I want to make sure that I do have some Diabate in my life.
Let's talk through Atlanta, because I think it's probably the most relevant spot for us to go. But before we go to Atlanta, we should probably touch on Chicago.
Yeah.
Wait, do we have this update? We don't have Chicago updated yet. I saw that we had an update just after 6 o'clock, and I didn't know if that caught it.
Guess what? Gershon Yabusele's going to be popular.
He is indeed. Oh, we do have the update here, right?
Okay.
Am I looking at this correctly? We do have the update here. We're in good shape now. We should hit on this one first. Jalen Smith got ruled out just before we got started on this show. $4,900 Yabu, power forward center eligible, 1.8% owned.
That can't be right. We have him in for 23 and change as the starter.
26.3.
I guess Nick Richards is there now. That's the one kind of thing that obviously is different than the last time we had this circumstance. And Nick Richards was obviously acquired because they decided to just roster 49 guards. And here we are with the Chicago Bulls just being, just ridiculous human beings. But Nick Richards only played 19 minutes against Denver, against Jokic, and Jonas Valanciunas, like a spot where I thought he would play a lot more than that. We got 26 minutes from Gershon Yabusele. I'm going to say I think our minutes are a little light on Yabusele. Talked about betting him last night, 8.5 points. Do I think he's going to look nuclear the way that some of these other pieces can, pending Jamal Murray news, pending Atlanta news? No, but I like Yabusele a lot more than our projections do right now. We've got him at 26 minutes, I guess. I mean, are we expecting him and Nick Richards to just basically split center and have that be the way that it goes long term? And I don't know. I don't bring a ton out of the Denver spot. They were down infinity points. In a competitive spot, does Nick Richards get the same amount? Do they want to just play more Yabusele, who looked decent? And obviously, he's been somebody, whether it was with the French national team, little bit of time there in Philly. He's had breakout moments, I suppose. New York never really gave him any run whatsoever. Maybe that's because he's just regressed in such a major way. But I do think that you put him in for 28 minutes and 4,900 Yabusele is definitely a conversation piece at 2% ownership. And boy, I'm just a little surprised that we're that light on him.
I don't mind the minutes projection. It scares me. Oh, I wouldn't want to go too much higher than that. I do think that he has a significant minute ceiling in comparison to what we see here. That's the more appealing part to me. Like at best, I'd go to like 27.5, which is gonna barely move him. But I also think there's a scenario where he plays like 32, which I think is kind of fun if you just want to go a slightly different direction. In theory, it's Brooklyn. They can play small. They can get by with Buzelis at the 5. They can get by with Patrick Williams at the 5. I don't think they want to go to Ulbrich. They split between Jalen Smith and Nick Richards last time out. Ulbrich just got 3 minutes of crap run, and those were the only guys that played the 5. But I do think there's more upside in Yabu than what we're showing here.
Yeah, I feel that way pretty strongly as well. Just kind of looking at this Denver rotation, as you said, they're not sharing the floor together. That's kind of what it is. God, Patrick Williams. Remember when Chicago paid Patrick Williams actual real US American dollars? What a world, man. What an absolute world. What a life to be Patrick Williams. I mean, good for him. Whatever.
It's a decent gig.
Yeah, get paid $1 bajillion to play 17 minutes on a shit team. Sounds good. You're not responsible for anything that happens. But yeah, obviously, I like him a lot more than that at 4,900. I'm not going to make him Nuke in the night by any means. But yeah, if he's going to be really low owned, there's that. But I guess for me, the thing, it was kind of impulsive in the back of my head there. Nick Richards, I did factor that in last night, but there's not like the 32, 33 type minute ceiling that I think was there before Nick Richards' arrival. And that was inevitable because, again, they did not have an actual center.
What do you like here for Chicago otherwise? Because for some of these guys, it might be difficult. Like when Yabu got here, do you think he looked at the team and he was like, oh, hey, Colin, what's up? And he was like, oh, sorry, that's Anthony Simons. Hey, Jaden. Oh, sorry, I'm Rob Dillingham, man. These guys need name tags. Every single one of these idiots are all the same different dude. What do we do here? Colin Sexton's 25% owned. Anthony Simons is 10. Jaden Ivey is 5. And Rob Dillingham is zilch, getting 18 minutes. Is Sexton your dude here for the Bulls?
Yeah, off the bench, played 29 minutes. I mean, there's not a lot also that needs to be said about him. At 4,600, we have such a low minutes number on him in this spot as well. And there is a much bigger ceiling. I ended up just jamming Colin Sexton his first game. Had no question in my mind that Colin Sexton was going to be more involved. And right off the bat, 25 fantasy points at 4,300. He was fine, but I think he had a little bit of foul trouble in that game from what it looks like as well. Nothing crazy, but 29 minutes right out the get-go. Anthony Simons and him, sharing a lot of the floor together as well. I mean, this is just kind of Charlotte 2.0 for him, to some extent, playing alongside the poor man's LaMelo Ball. But Anthony Simons will still chuck the same amount of threes, I suppose. 5,600 for Simons is interesting as well. I do think he's going to be the guy that between him, Ivy, and Sexton plays the most minutes here going forward. And Jaden Ivey, that pass is still the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But I don't expect him to be some massive assist rate guy either. I mean, I've been taking under 4.5 assists for him a number of different times. Ended up betting that right out the get-go for him in this new situation. And I'm looking at running it back today here. I'd like to get a little bit of confirmation on some of these pieces here, because there's a world where they want to test out what they've got with Dillingham at times. They want to test out what they got with Sexton at times. Do they really care that much between them all? They're going to play right around the same amount of minutes between Sexton, Simons, IV to some extent. I don't know. The Sexton 29 minutes for him is maybe a little bit heavier just because of the blowout and because of the way that everything ran for that. But even in a neutral setting where he gets 24, 25 minutes, boy, he is underowned relative to what we've got there. I guess the question for him is like, what looks best with Jamal Murray out? Because you get the Jalen Pickett piece, and like, is it all that interesting? We saw a lot of Jalen Pickett spots, but not playing alongside Nikola Jokic. And that's the thing that really sucks when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with this before the show. Last night, from a betting perspective, there was nothing that jumped. It's not like I'm getting Jalen Pickett lines, but like, what do you think breaks with Jamal Murray here in the event that he ends up out? I assume it isn't Bruce Brown and they go to the Jalen Pickett piece. And right now you're taking a guy who'd be like 10 and a half minutes that we've got right now, 0.72 fantasy points per minute. Does he just absorb all of it, or does Bruce Brown become the more interesting piece between the two?
I think it's mostly Pickett that gets the jump for us. The problem is he stinks from a per minute perspective. Like, we already have Julian Strother getting 28 and a half minutes with guard forward eligibility at 4,200, and he's 6% owned. We get an extra $400 here, but even if we give Strother, or even if we give him that exact same minutes projection as Strother, he's still a real bad per minute option. Like, he's gonna be right around 5x, something in that neighborhood, and not pulling all that much ownership. Now, he'll likely be under-owned for the setup, no matter what it is, just because of, depending on when the news breaks, but I'm not confident he looks that great regardless. Like, at that point, we might even just be more interested in Strother.
Oh yeah, that's the guy. Julian Strother is the guy that I want to jam in that event. I know he's a low fantasy point per minute guy there, but he slid into the starting unit. He's been playing pretty decent minutes as is. And you got Jokic out there creating for you. 33 minutes for him, 19 points, knocked down some threes there in that last game. And I think just because of the positionality, because of the start time of this game, and because it would be late breaking news, I assume it comes out, probably after the 8 p.m. Eastern time one, but kind of putting some kind of eggs into his basket, not some massive stand that I want to make on a poor fantasy producer as is. He's going to be more shot dependent, but if Bruce Brown were to get the start, man, 4,400, those minutes got ramped up to a place that, they just decided to have Jalen Pickett be a little bit more, or like a spot start type deal for him, just because Bruce Brown's been playing more in that rotation. Like, there's something that could break your direction there, I suppose, but it won't look as good as Sexton is my point. And that's where, like, I think Sexton probably ends up being somebody who ends up in like a third of my lineups, no matter what.
All right, let's walk through Atlanta, because this could be an actual mess by the time we get to it. For those that don't know, we've got some injury statuses to wait on. We've got a Q tag on Jalen Johnson. We also have one on Dyson Daniels. At this moment, we have the two of these guys projected for 70 minutes. The way this breaks will be pretty impactful for us in this spot, because if they happen to both be out, we are going to be flooding the market with additional minutes here. If Jalen Johnson is out, we are flooding the market with a lot of touches one way or the other. And it makes someone like Dyson Daniels look incrementally better if he happens to be in. We don't really have to talk about Atlanta unless Jalen Johnson and or Dyson Daniels are out. Jalen Johnson's 10% owned. Nobody else is getting any love here. So let's talk through what we want if they're out.
If they're out, well, if they're in, Jalen Johnson, I'm going to play Jalen Johnson.
Yes.
The guy, again, I keep bringing up just how ridiculous it is to do his props night before. It's not a great exercise as is, just because, obviously nothing's out yet from anywhere. So I'm kind of flying blind for myself and not being able to base it on the market. It's basically like opening market numbers and historical props and then trying to adjust for the situations. But Jalen Johnson's 10-7. I'd play a lot of Jalen Johnson at 10-7, 11% ownership, and then the Q tag downgrade for casuals. But I don't know who they start. If it's Mo Gay at 3,400, I would want an uncomfortable amount, and I'm very aware that there's a chance he gets ripped off the floor. Now, this didn't happen recently with like some of these spot starts for Mo Gay where he's played well. But if you go through some of the game logs of Mo Gay starts, he has been like a 6-minute to start the game in the first and third quarter and no other time. Now, that's going back to last year at times. It's a different personnel. There's a lot of personnel that has changed out here in Atlanta. But I think the first...
There goes really Daniels and Jalen Johnson. They're both out.
Mother of Christ. All right. So now let's just do this all fresh. CJ McCollum is probably my favorite guy, period. 6,100. There's no chance whatsoever that he isn't going to be the guy who gets the start. That's not my mom, for what it's worth. I don't even care. She'd only call you. I get it. Don't go ahead and make the joke. But we've got CJ McCollum 6,100, and he is absolutely a priority for me. Who starts between Landale and like, can they go Okongwu Landale? Is that a thing that they would want to do? And if you were going to do it against a team, wouldn't you do it against Minnesota where it's Randall and Gobert? Like, this is really frustrating to me because obviously Jock Landale just showed up. Obviously they're splitting center minutes, but like, if Mo Gay isn't going to be the dude in there, is there a chance that they share the floor? Is Asanul going to be coming in for a couple of minutes here? I assume. Like, we're just playing a lot of the starters. Like, Reece Shea is going to look good at 4,200. Kongwu is going to look fine at 7,200. McCollum, I assume he starts. He's going to be nuclear. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be okay. Nothing insanely good for me. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is my mom.
I don't know what to do here. I've got so much to say.
Go ahead. I'm just turning my phone off. This is just absurd.
Chat, you guys can handle this one. Obviously, Reece Shea looks way better. Way better at 4,200. Small forward eligibility, big minutes bump here. At least he should. Corey Kispert now looks better than everything we just talked about from Chicago. Or like not that he's going to look incredible, but like that weird small forward 4K-ish value. The starting lineup will be massive. CJ McCollum should look great no matter what. That usage is just going to massively change here. Who else takes a leap? Are they going to play like... I guess we don't have to care about Gabe Vincent, even though he's 3K. Mo Gay is probably like the most concerning piece of this now because
by far. And I think he probably is the guy who, like, if you think of the way Jalen Johnson is out on the floor, and again, I'm just talking through the Landale thing purely because like Okongwu, like I'd be very, very surprised. But I assume the starting lineups: McCollum, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Okongwu, Gay, and Reece Shea. Like, I think it ends up being Mo Gay, and it's just a question of like how good you feel about his minutes. It is so scary, and I know it sounds scary or it sounds ridiculous when it's like a 3,400 power forward center guy who averages like 1.15 DraftKings points per minute. Like, the dude's ridiculous, but there have been times in the past that they have spot started him like this, going back to last year. It's been less frequently here, but he's played well in some of those spots, Josh. And like, I'm just not confident that he's like a dude you'd want to play in like 100% of your lineups. Because if you knew he was playing 18 minutes, you'd play him in 100% of lineups with his fantasy point per minute rate, 3,400. Like, I don't think there'd be a single lineup I wouldn't play him in if I knew he was getting like a semi-decent allotment of minutes, even in the starting group.
Porzingis, Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, all off. No one has played more minutes in that scenario than Mo Gay, 248. The second most minutes in that scenario is Luke Kennard. I think that obviously just gets soaked up by your CJ McCollums and your Corey Kisperts pretty naturally. The third most minutes, all of these guys are right around each other. Onyeka Okongwu. That's what I think is very interesting here because that makes me feel at least a little bit better about the minutes for Mo Gay. Now, obviously, Jock Landale complicates matters a little bit here. Don't really think it should all that much. And then we start getting into like Keaton Wallace, who I don't think matters in a situation like this. Vit Krejci, who's not here any longer. Asa Newell, and then we have a pretty sizable fall off. Oddly enough, Reece Shea didn't have as many, but I think he missed a chunk of time in a situation where this would have been more relevant. How many minutes do you want to see Mo Gay be projected for to care?
like cared that I would have just an absolute jam tremendous amount of him, like the lowest amount. 16.5.
Projection?
Oh God, no projection. No. I'm thinking through like, again, I'm just nervous. I'm more nervous about his minutes than what I know the field is going to be. And I've generally been like Team Mogay, jam him in these spots, but it's always happened like after lock, and it's like a 8% Mogay. If it's going to be like a 50% Mogay, 60% Mogay when we get this update, which is probably live to happen if we've got him starting. The projection that I would be nervous about not jamming him at 18, 19.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you think? Because I mean, obviously, you're thinking about like the range of outcomes. You're thinking like 50th percentile outcome, the median projection. I'd probably say, 18.5.
Yeah, if you give him 20 minutes at 0.85, that's 17. I think you would want a little bit more than that. You get him to 22 minutes at 0.85, that's 18.7 fantasy points per minute. That would get him to like 5.8x, which is right now in like this 30-ish percent ownership range. That would be in the neighbor, just shy of like Danny Wolf, right in that Myron Gardner lane, who's 30% owned. We probably got to talk about Miami at this point. So that information is going to be huge, but I think he's just going to look good as long as we give him basically anything real. Anything north of 20 we'll feel pretty good about. Anything north of 22 we're going to feel really good about.
Yep. Agreed. We're going to jam like everybody else, and that just kind of is what it is.
War Eagle wants to know why we're glossing over Landale. He's the backup center at 5K.
I don't think they're going to start together. That's all I was thinking about, was like the double center lineups. Chicago changed the game. I used to just make my assumptions about how things were going to work on certain ways and whatever. And then Drummond and Vooch started together, and then all hell is broken loose, and we've seen double centers at random times. And I'm like, Jock Landale, Okongwu, that could be like Jaren Jackson Jr., Jock Landale, it kind of seems somewhat similar to some extent for me, but in the end, I think it's a very unlikely outcome. And it was just basically talking through the scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to project Jock Landale for so many minutes at 5K to matter today. So many more than the 21 we have in right now. 29% ownership for Mo Gay at 3,400. We gave him just shy of 25 minutes. At a slightly more advantageous fantasy points per minute as well. I went low, just off the top of my head. So Mo Gay is your dude. Looking pretty darn good here. Based on our projections, you know who else is looking pretty damn good? 45% optimal, CJ McCollum.
Yeah, he looks incredible.
Bang.
Yeah. Yo. Those are the two. They're going to look pretty darn good. McCollum especially. I said he's my favorite of everybody. I just get a little nervous. I think the range of outcomes for Mo Gay minutes are pretty wide. That's all that I wanted to point out. We have him at 24 and change minutes. Holy mother of God.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah. I'm going to have a ton of him. So that's good to know.
He looks great. CJ clearly looks great. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, we now have north of 20% optimal. He stands out. Okongwu up to 10. Risa Shea up to 10. Kispert up to 10. Got to look quickly. Let's pull up the props tool, which you guys can subscribe to via the link in the description. Anything interesting popping up for Atlanta here if we just lean on the projections on that first update?
Let's take a look. I mean, as things start to matriculate out, I mean, man, the Okongwu piece right off the bat. I mean, those are just low numbers. If those are kind of the actual, if those are updated, you're getting 8.5 plus money on Okongwu playing center up against up against Rudy Gobert and company. I will say this. I mean, I bet Jock Landale threes against Rudy Gobert last time with Memphis, but that was a completely different situation with some drop coverage and things. I don't think they're going to be able to do as much here with him in Atlanta, but Jock Landale's played pretty well against Gobert. I still don't care. Okongwu is going to play more center minutes. He's the better player, the better center, despite what you saw from his debut there for Atlanta. Okongwu for tournaments is going to look really, really fun right from the get-go. I've always enjoyed when you get he gets priced to this place where people are just uncomfortable clicking on a 7,200 Okongwu, and it's like, well, shit, give him 30 minutes, see what happens without all these other dudes out on the floor. It usually goes pretty well. And Jalen Johnson's rebounding rate off the floor, yeah, give me some Okongwu rebounds right off the bat.
All right, we got a couple super chats to hit quickly, so let's get to those right now. First one coming in from Langston Cole. He said, last power forward in Wolf. I guess that's Yabo or Clowney. It could not be less Noah Clowney. It's got to be Wolf if we're talking about just who is the best play in that list.
Yeah, agreed.
I like Yabu a little bit with some upside, but Wolf is on a completely different level than those two dudes.
Different planet. And yeah, Brooklyn's that uncomfortable piece that whenever you get Porter Jr. out, it's just, you're going to take shots on these guys.
This one's for you, apparently.
Oh,
when you run your sim 10K, do you have a players as modular inputs, or is it at the team level? I'm assuming it's MC you're using.
Yeah, I mean, for me, minutes and usage, basically figuring out exactly that's your standard baseline. Like you probably noticed, I bet a lot more points props night before because I think I can find a better edge. I've found a better edge with those just by being early to the party on those. And then some of the other things as I'm updating through it, pace. You just simply put in how many possessions you think the basketball game is going to be taking into account. I mean, when you're running 10,000 different simulations, yeah, I like to go player by player. Dunks and threes. You taught me how to do that forever ago, talking through EPM, talking through a lot of cool different spots where how you can adjust how players are going to impact each other. And that's the other fun part about using the NBA rotations tool. And I've been using that night before all the time now, just going through and seeing what people are doing together in certain rotations, especially coming off of the trade deadline. So I guess that's a different avenue of what you're asking here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be more of the former than the latter. There you go.
There we go. Miami Mike said Collier Nuke 48 minutes incoming. Maybe.
Probably.
Certainly in the cards.
Collier
Certainly
Nuke
in the cards.
Yeah. I mean, he should change his number to 48. That'd be pretty funny.
It really would, actually. All right. KGDR24 says FanDuel by position. We'll start at the point guard spot. That is now CJ McCollum at the top of the heap in ownership and optimal. Devin Carter is point guard only on FanDuel, so he is going to be your second best bet. You've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Colin Sexton also 30+% owned and optimal. They also have shooting guard eligibility. You have anybody else you want to add on the point guard side for FanDuel?
No. Those are the guys. And I'll throw Collier in because, 48 minutes, definitely alive.
Alrighty. At shooting guard, this is where you'll see CJ again. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is here. Trey Murphy can be used here or at small forward. And then we see Colin Sexton once again. Nick Clifford would be the next closest guy in this range, but we're kind of zeroing in on the guards that you're supposed to have. Small forward is where it starts to change a bit. Danny Wolf at the top of this list. He has power forward eligibility as well. He's our highest optimal guy. Trey Murphy is here once again. And then we've got a pack of like 20 to 25 percenters. Daquan Plowden, Jaime Jaquez, and Nick Clifford. Any names stand out to you there?
Yeah, Mo Gay for 3,800 on FanDuel. Boy, oh boy.
Small forward?
Oh, I thought you said power forward. I thought we moved on.
My bad. We are moving on to power forward right now, where we will mention Mo Gay along with Danny Wolf once again. Zion, quite popular at power forward, 7,800, 30% owned. Bam, Jaime Jaquez, both around 25. There is your guy, Mo Gay, 3,800, 18% owned, 22% optimal. If you're looking for more value alongside Danny Wolf, you can go that direction.
Yep. And then center, just Jokic and more Jokic.
And then Jokic 44% owned at center. If for some reason you're not going that direction, you're probably playing the rest of these guys at power forward, whether that's Bam, Onyeka Okongwu, Mo Gay, or Khalil Ware.
I want to ask you, starting lineup for Miami, pretty important.
It is.
Darn important.
It is indeed. We have it as Bam, Wiggins, Fontecchio, Davion Mitchell, Myron Gardner right now.
I saw that. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they obviously have had how many press conferences with Eric Spoelstra after games being like, yeah, I know you guys want me to talk about Ware. He played 3 minutes and then he smashes against the Wizards yesterday. And now he's projected for 22 minutes, but partially because it's Utah on the other side. And Utah actively trying to lose basketball games in the most ridiculous fashion ever. Let's play our new acquisition through 3 quarters against Orlando, be up 12 going into the 4th, and then punt the 4th quarter for all to see. There are better ways to probably pull this off than that, but that's just me.
You know what else is you? The nuke of the night. I know you guys are looking for this one. We are 18 minutes from lock, so we got to hand it out right now. Who is your nuke of the night?
We are the Knights who say Neek.
I had been thinking about Neek Clifford, and it just got stuck in my mouth.
That'd be really funny if he was the nuke of the night, but alas, he is not. This one's interesting, and I want to get your take on a couple of different things because, well, I just think there's going to be a lot of crazy things that can show up in our lives. But I look at the last game of the night very frequently when you're looking at these type of situations where we're going to get injury news throughout. And we had the Atlanta stuff break on this show before lock. They're all going to be very, very popular. What is going to happen after lock is we're going to find out about Jamal Murray. And no matter what, no matter how, even if Jamal Murray's in, I don't think this guy is completely dead by any means. Now, I'm going to try my best, depending on when that news comes down, to get to even a little bit of a very expensive for him, Tim Hardaway Jr., looking at some guys that could potentially eat up some usage. But I know he's not a great fantasy producer, but Julian Strawther, shooting guard, small forward, I think there is a massive opportunity for you to get to a very, very low-owned piece well after lock. And whenever that exists, I think his optimal rate is probably the one that's going to change the most out of anybody there. I mean, I guess technically it'd be Jalen Pickett, but I'm not going to play Jalen Pickett no matter what. Julian Strawther, shooting guard, small forward, now in that starting lineup, 33 minutes, and then we could be without Jamal Murray. That's a lot coming in his direction. And don't forget how many times Julian Strawther would come into games and have to be playing alongside of Peyton Watson as well, or some of these other guys that were just better fantasy performers. So he's an unlikely guy. Normally, I like my nukes to potentially have minutes upside that isn't being accounted for and great fantasy point per minute rates. I don't think this guy is really either of those, but I think the opportunity could change for him a little bit more. And he's already all right with me at his current ownership. Julian Strawther, nuke of the night.
Neek Clifford, by the way, happy birthday today.
Oh,
narrative alert.
Jam him.
Narrative alert. I've got a narrative alert for mine. Now, this guy's getting a chunk of ownership, so it's not all that exciting. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker, revenge narrative alert, heading back into Minnesota. No Dyson Daniels. No Jalen Johnson. Everybody's thinking CJ first. I'm thinking Nickeil Alexander-Walker first. We've got a little bit of positive leverage on him right now. He's the 7th highest leverage option we have in the data hub. I think this is a great spot for him. I think he'll probably be more interested in giving them the business. And anytime that you can have the ball in your hands a little bit more to control that, I'll at least take the opportunities to see if he lets it go. So give me Nickeil Alexander-Walker for tonight.
Yeah, it breaks my heart going back into Minnesota. Guy was awesome for us. Obviously was not awesome for the Pelicans. And then the switch flipped. He is going to be an asset for Canada for next couple of years. I know you hate your Olympic basketball, but want to give him a shout. Him and his cuz, they're pretty good. So it's gonna be fun to watch that one leading into the Olympics that Josh won't watch in 2028 is when it is. Josh, just want to remind you as well.
It's not that I hate it. I just don't care about the Olympics. There's a difference.
No, you said you hated America, so let that be known in case anybody missed that from last week. Just want to remind them.
Half of the people that are going to watch the show are going to be happy with what I said. One way or the other, I'm good to go.
Or America. Let them know. Let them know.
What I'm not Donovan Mitchell. I'm not letting them know. I'm not playing tonight. I'm out. I'm out for tonight.
All right.
We got Sam Van Dam super chat here. DK single entry, 8,500 utility, last man in.
I like Trey Murphy more than I like Randall. I know 8,200, 8,300. I guess it's a little bit weird with Trey Murphy just at point guard, but I guess now that Mo Gay's the thing, some other power forwards matriculating in, I'll go Trey Murphy.
I just noticed that now. What stupid ass positional eligibility do we have here? Point guard only for Trey Murphy, a position that I'm quite confident he has never played a single second of for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, no, he definitely hasn't. I guess technically, I mean, Zion's technically your point guard still, but whatever.
I could tolerate that one a bit more.
Yeah, me too. Herb Jones is not a point guard. I guess it's just simply he's the closest to a guard who's still not a complete non-ball handler like Sadiq Bey, Herb Jones, I suppose. But point Zion, I think mucks it up a little bit.
As I look at this right now, I actually lean Randall over Murphy. Not that I have a huge preference, but it's a lot of different dudes out for Atlanta. It's a lot of new dudes in for Atlanta. This is a Minnesota team that is like the same team every night, no matter what. I think that continuity could help here. So I'd lean a little bit more towards Randall.
If we keep losing basketball games, that won't be the truth for long. Yesterday was an embarrassment, the likes of which this world's never seen before.
Same question. Only the salary tier is now $6,700 for us.
Chill. Probably the aforementioned Sadiq Bey, but
yeah, that would be Bey for me.
Yeah,
that'll be Bey. By the way, guys, don't forget, we're not done after this show. We've got another hour after we're here at 7:00, live before lock ends, live after lock begins. Greg Ehrenberg will be here to walk you through any potential late swaps. He'll walk through the prop tool and any other fun stuff that pops up over the entire time that Greg is here, which is likely an hour, but could be anything. Who knows? Might even be a boat. What haven't we touched on yet? You want to what do we need to talk through that we have missed? Have you run any sims? Are you seeing anything that isn't jiving with what you were expecting?
Yeah, at the modular level at the moment. Just going through some individual pieces. I don't even think I used that in the correct context, but let me see. What did we miss? I think we've talked about every single situation, and other than Jamal Murray now, do we have any other Q tag waiting in the wings? Oh, Jalen Tyson. Let's talk about Cleveland, actually. Let's talk about Cleveland.
Yeah, that's fair.
Other side of that game, 240 total, biggest we got, I believe, on the entire slate. 236 in Minnesota, the next closest, 236.5, Utah, Miami. But yeah, the crazy up and down that could be this specific game. If you get Tyson and Wade out, what the hell do they do? Like, does Larry Nance get dusted off for a day? What actually occurs here if you don't have either of them playing? Jalen Tyson technically would be the 4. Harden, Mitchell, Merrill, I'm pretty sure are locked in as the 3 guys who are going to start 1, 2, 3. But what the hell occurs here? Because Naquan Tomlin could end up getting jammed by me as well. And we didn't even bring his name up.
Can I interest you in any Tristan Enaruna? That's just a name that I saw is on the Cleveland Cavaliers now that I've never heard of before. So
sounds like a salad.
I wanted to say that out loud. If there's no Tyson and Wade, yeah, I think Tomlin's going to end up with a pretty sizable minutes projection at that point. I think he just kind of has to.
Yeah,
I mean, Sam Merrill's 6'4". Tomlin's the only other guy with size. It's not Schroeder. It's not Craig Porter Jr. It's not really Keon Ellis. Probably be Nance for a bit. I mean, luckily James Harden guards up, but yeah, I think Tomlin would probably be the guy that benefits the most there.
Yeah, I thought I'd at least bring him up, considering it's a dude that we didn't say his name, and I could very easily find myself. I built in some Bruce Brown. I built in a little bit of when we talked about Julian Strother already in Nuke territory, but Tim Hardaway Jr. is really hard to build out for at 5,400. I don't really like that, but what I can do is I can kind of like maneuver around 2 or 3 pieces, and so the one guy that I think kind of makes everything work. We're going to obviously have Jokic into lineups, but that doesn't help you because you're not going to get off of Jokic into something else. And that's where I think like there's still that path for Tomlin being somebody that you'll want to have a little of, but at least you have Sam Merrill who's sitting there at 4,400, and it's not an absolute like kick in the dick where you're not going to have anything out there that remotely looks good. But just be very careful where you play him at. With Sam Merrill, just because he has that shooting guard eligibility. I want to make sure as I get closer to the lock of that Atlanta game that I have him in a lot of forward spots, that the late swap tool is getting me into the forward spot for some of them, because I need to be able to get to Tomlin, and that could just be a really, really good piece with both of those guys out. But just wanted to give a little bit of a shout to him.
J-Bo wants DK by position. We should be able to move through this one pretty quickly. It's kind of been the entire topic of the show. Point guard, that's Devin Carter. And that is just Devin Carter.
Yeah.
That one's simple. You're going to have CJ McCollum at shooting guard. You're obviously going to have Devin Carter at shooting guard as well. Isaiah Collier is very viable at the point guard spot if we wanted to circle back, but that's sort of the area you're going to be along with Daquan Plowden. Anybody else we want to hit on at point guard or shooting guard?
Point guard or shooting guard, not really. There's the Colin Sexton piece. Did you say his name when you were listing everybody up? Yeah, there you go. Colin Sexton, I've got a lot of.
Small forward, most owned right now is Daquan Plowden. We also have Myron Gardner grabbing a little bit of love, but it seems like at this point, Plowden is the dude at small forward. I got to admit, it scares me at least a little bit, but he is the best on paper option.
Yeah, I will say my favorite tournament option is Risache, but he's like at 11% right now. We've got a little bit of negative leverage, but it wouldn't surprise me to see the minutes ramped up a little bit. Has been better in some of these spots where you just are missing everything and every semblance of the normal offense with no Jalen Johnson, Trae Young departed, all those things.
Dylan Cardwell, Danny Wolf, Mo Gay are basically a 3-headed monster of power forward. Do you want to add anybody to that list?
Not really. Not the same way that I did the other positions. Yabu Sealy, I don't know what it is about it. I'm still going to find my way to around double-digit percentage of him, but we are not. Nobody is high on Yabu Sealy today, it would appear. So I'm probably alone on an island with that one. So yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
And center, the answer is unequivocally Nikola Jokic.
Facts. By a mile.
Maven Mara also gave you back the appreciate y'all, man. Been watching since 2018.
Oh, appreciate you. Also,
appreciate
thank you for making me, or I guess you're smarter than me is what I think we probably established on this show, but appreciate you.
Balmer, CJ and Zion, or Bay and Nickeil Alexander-Walker in a DraftKings high dollar single entry.
Bay and Nah. I don't think I have any Zion, do I?
He's 20% owned.
I don't have a lot. Oh, I made a mistake. He has 70. Yeah, I screwed something up here because I'm gonna have to run this whole thing one more time. That's great. At least I caught this, because that would have sucked.
I lean CJ Zion in that combo.
Okay.
And I say that knowing that Nickeil Alexander-Walker was my nuke, but I do like that opposite side given the contest structure.
Like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And Sean Carpin, Strother or Gardner at small forward on DraftKings. I can't decide.
I mean, small forward is so bad. That's the other part of why Strother just makes sense to me. Like, I'm happy to make a stand on him, knowing that there's a bump he could get at a position that just sucks donkey dick. Like, huge Donkey Kong donkey dick is what small forward is on a day-to-day basis on DraftKings.com. We've had Brandon Miller. Do I not have Brandon Miller at small? Is like nobody going to play Brandon Miller in this first game? I suppose he's probably the one guy we didn't even talk about, but it's like, look at the position and look at raw points maybe and find some path to get to a little bit. But I do like Jaime Jaquez. He's showing up a little bit more but it's just a punt position, like on a day-to-day basis. It's awful.
How's that auto correct?
What?
Not diabete, but diabetes.
That's good. Oh, that's funny.
It's incredible. That's so good. That's so good. I mean, I lean. Well, I would at least want Strother for the first 29 minutes, and then I could start thinking about whether or not I want to swap to the Gardner piece of it. That one's just so dependent. Like, if you get Murray out, you want it to be Strother. That's where it gets tricky. It's a risk play.
Yeah.
All right. What pay up option smashes today that isn't Nikola Jokic?
See, that's the question you've really liked to ask lately. And I've been thinking more about that just in terms of like my lineup building. The guy I want to have smash is Cade Cunningham because I'm just going to be overweight to 13% or whatever it was. We talked about him earlier on in this program. His optimal percentage has gone up throughout this program as well, sitting around the 17% number because Atlanta became a confirmed thing. Mo Gay became a confirmed thing. So lots of ways where we get to those dudes. But I think the guy that I'm probably not playing who just absolutely smacks around now is LaMelo Ball. That would really suck. Although he's 8K, this is probably as cheap as he's been in a while. I just kind of trust Detroit to keep the lid on this game. I'm hoping they do. And Cade Cunningham can do his thing to some extent, and nothing else pops from the early game.
I think I lean Cade as well. That's the way that I looked at this earlier today. The fact that Franz is available for Orlando annoys me. No one's going to talk about Paolo Banchero today. I talked about it a little bit on the strategy show this morning. He's completely unowned. He's uninteresting. It's busy as hell there, but this matchup is perfect for him. All these dudes that play the positions that are going to match up against Paolo in Milwaukee are dog shit. And I think that this is the kind of matchup that he goes out there and like smashes in when it's totally irrelevant during the season. But with Franz being back, feels like they're just going to be pretty democratic tonight, handle their business against the Bucks. He's the one I keep looking at. Like, I'm going to look up later tonight and he's going to have like 61 fantasy points and at 2% ownership.
He does that probably more than anybody else in this range. So I think that's a really good shout out. He just gets these random, like, oh, I didn't shoot 30% from the mid range today, or whatever the fuck he does. Cause he's an absolute joke and a goober, but shout out Duke. Yay, go Duke. Paolo Banchero, very, very frustrating as a DFS individual.
Well, if you guys are frustrated with the live before lock show, congratulations. It's over. It is now time for live after lock. Your frustrations can leave the body as Greg Ehrenberg enters the show. Thank you guys for being here. What's up, Greg?
Yeah, I'm curious what you guys ended up doing before you leave with the Denver situation, because obviously Jamal Murray news is massive and it's a complete island game. I'm kind of surprised it's even on the slate. And it's the one game with all the injury news. You got the 9 p.m. game, not another game within an hour of it. And you got Jamal Murray questionable, Jalen Tyson questionable, Dean Wade questionable. Were any kind of considerations you guys made for the Jamal Murray situation?
Yeah.
Eric, you could take that one.
Yeah, Julian Strother definitely looks good. And then Nikola Jokic, I'm jamming anyway, so it doesn't even matter to some extent. He takes the biggest, I mean, it's insane to say Jokic, but like, Jokic just becomes a guy who is going to go up 3-4 fantasy points without a Jamal Murray out on the floor. And that's just an insane rate boost for him. But what is a little bit annoying to me is just Christian Brown existing, because I think Bruce Brown, I think Jalen Pickett, I think there'd be some other things to potentially mine out of it. And then Daquan Plowden has a chance to be somewhat relevant as well. So finding like that $200 with some of those Strother lineups, or building in something that's 4,400 so that you're not completely boxed out of that piece, is probably a pretty good way to go about it.
Well, I do have 24% right now, but 3% own Julian Strother. So I got him into some lineups. Got him into some lineups for sure. I think he is the contrarian piece in the event that guys get rolled out. I don't even have a strong lean or anything like that. It's just that to me is where I talk about this all the time. It's just I think the best opportunity is to get upside and be a little bit different. So
yeah, and small forward sucks today. So small forward, like what's the opportunity cost going to Julian Strother and already building him in, and then knowing he could get a bump? He could be the guy that you'd want to have the most of after the fact. So for me, that's kind of what it came down to. I'm playing, my 150 today, and we'll see what happens. It'll be fun.
All right, Josh, Eric, have a good night, guys. And
later, y'all.
Of course, we're starting up the post-lock show with some news, guys. So don't go anywhere, because we got a different starting lineup for the Heat here. Kel'el Ware back in the starting unit here. Miami Heat starters. It is Mitchell, Wiggins, Fontecchio, Adebayo, and Kel'el Ware. So they're going back with the double big man starting lineup. And let's see, Kel'el Ware, he has not started since January 6th. So it's been a minute since we saw Ware starting. I don't know about you guys, not somebody who I was putting a lot of thought into as a potential starter. So this is going to change some stuff. It's always exciting when we get to open up the post-lock show right away with some different looking starting lineups. And we've also got some other ones coming in here as well. Nets starting lineup. Traore, Mann, Wolf, Clowney, Claxton. Big starting lineup for the Nets there. So we've got the Nets starters, we've got the Heat starters there. And now I'm really curious to see what ends up happening with Ware in our projections. It'll be updated probably in 3-4 minutes or something like that. But I want to give you guys a bet really quickly here. We'll just look at what it is that's on the top of the board of some of this is going to change too, because we've got Fontecchio is starting, and we already had an over that projected pretty decently here for him. Fontecchio over 10.5 points, now confirmed in the starting lineup. That's not going to hurt that at all. So that's pretty nice that we have that here right at the top of the board. And we had Fontecchio projected for 27 minutes. I don't think that's going to change all that significantly now that he's confirmed a starter here. And Michael, don't worry. We'll go over some parlays. We're absolutely going to build out parlays. There's boost available on FanDuel and DraftKings today. But first things first, we are going to have to make some updates for the Kel'el Ware news. But good that we already have an over from the Miami Heat that's looking decent in the tool. So Fontecchio, like I said, over 10.5 points over on Fanatics is the best available line for that. Now let's go over to the data hub, and we'll start to look at the Miami Heat here. Go to the NBA. NFL, not all that pertinent right now. So let's see what we've got for the Miami Heat. I don't even know off the top of my head what Ware's price tag is for today. I assume it's fairly cheap, right? Whoops. I said team, and then I typed in Ware. All right, so Miami Heat. What do we have here? So for reference, here's what our projected starting lineup was for the Miami Heat. We were expecting it to be Mitchell, Gardner, Fontecchio, Wiggins, and Adebayo. So some people in chat have pointed it out, but the change that we got in the starting lineup, it is Gardner back to the bench and Ware making his first start in a little bit over a month. And let's see, we got Dan C here saying, I have to go with Ware. Someone asked Josh in the early show today what he thought about Ware and basically said he was an idiot for thinking Ware. So I know, Dan, you know DFS well enough. It will, assuming that Ware smashes, it would be fun to dunk on Josh for that. But Ware definitely wasn't a consideration. We thought that he was coming off the bench, but at $4,800, he's projected for 1.25 fantasy points per minute. What is Ware averaging as a starter this year? Let's see, minutes wise, pulling this up. So Ware this year has made how many starts? we have seen from Killa Ware 27 starts and averaging 27 minutes. So here's just some quick math for you guys. Not that he has to play 27 minutes, but if we just use his, season average, and it's a good matchup too. If we give Ware his season average of 27 minutes at 1.25 fantasy points per minute, you're getting a projection on Khalil Ware of 33.75 fantasy points. And then also you have to factor in that it's going to be a positive matchup for him. So I think he's a very, very strong looking option. Bucks starting lineup, by the way, Rollins, Porter, Green, Kuzma, and Turner. Bobby Portis remaining coming off the bench there. But yeah, this is going to be when our projections update, Khalil Ware swapping to him. That is going to be very, very high priority for me. Let's see if we have that update. Not quite yet. It'll be here soon, though. Some other starting lineups that we have that are rolling in here. For the Chicago Bulls, we've got Ivy, Simons, Okoro, Buzelis, and Yabusele. So do have Yabusele confirmed starting here for the Chicago Bulls. And that is what we had in our projections. I believe that exact same lineup. Let's see. Ivy, Simons, Buzelis. Yeah. So that's what we had projected starting there for the Chicago Bulls. No differences there. For the Milwaukee Bucks, did we have Kuzma projected to start? We had, exactly what we had projected to start for the Bucks here as well. So we've got here Rollins, Porter, Green, Kuzma, Turner. So no real changes compared to what we had projected to start. By the way, when this Bucks team gets Cam Thomas up and going, and he's like a part of the, assuming that he actually cracks the rotation, he's a part of it, they're going to have some of the all-time ugliest combinations of lineups. Kuzma, Cam Thomas, Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter Jr. That is going to be a disaster for moving the basketball and having any kind of cohesive offense. I'm here to see it. It is going to be a mess, though. I am here to see it. Somebody in the chat saying Sims starting? I don't think so. I just read off the starting lineup. Did I miss something? Did I read something wrong? Yeah, he's not. It's Rollins, Porter, Green, Kuzma, Turner. Turner's starting at center. Same lineup that we have projected here. Sims to the bench. I know that Sims had that good game the other day, pulled down a bunch of rebounds, but in general, projected 0.65 fantasy points per minute. It's going to always be difficult to project him fairly well there. See if we got that projections update. If not, I'll go and bounce back over to the props tool and see what we have for any props that are projecting well at the moment. I would ignore the unders on Khalil Ware just because that isn't taking into account the fact that our projections aren't quite updated yet. By the way, for people, don't pay attention to DraftKings for your news. Jason Hansen, DraftKings says Sims starting. Well, guess what? They're wrong. He's not starting. He's not. Those, if you're taking your lineups, just their starting lineups, just getting it from DraftKings, FanDuel, here's what they do. They get their information from RotoWire, which is perpetually wrong. They just have like an API that just throws up the starting lineups that RotoWire confirms. And I would say once every 3 days or so, there's a wrong starting lineup. There's a wrong injury designation. Don't look at DraftKings for your news. You're just going to end up with bad information. Going to end up with some bad information. See if there's any questions in the Discord. And we have nothing at the moment. Nothing at the moment as far as questions go. So we do have, I think that's, did Josh answer the super chat at the tail end of the show? Do you guys remember? Did Josh hit on this? I'll answer it right now just in case. Cardwell and Collier or Bay and McCollum. That's going to be the first one for me. Cardwell and Isaiah Collier. Yeah, green check marks. Tarnish my name again, Greg. I dare you. Yeah, one of the longest existing bits that we've had here is the little green check marks. But it's also, I mean, it's good information for you guys to know that those answers are just like frequently wrong. Or that information is frequently wrong. All right, when do these games lock also? How much time are we going to have here to make some adjustments? The Miami game starts, is that a 7:30 Eastern time start or an 8 p.m. Eastern time start? 7:30. So the game's locking at 7:30. Milwaukee, Orlando, Utah, Miami, Chicago, and Brooklyn. We do have a question here for DK801. He wants to know, for DraftKings tournaments, do I have a favorite between Sadiq Bey and Jaime Jaquez Jr.? Well, let me look at some of my exposures. I've got 11% of, some of this is going to move around just because of the news we just got, but at least on the pre-lock run, I had 11% of Jaquez and I had 11%. It's very similar between the two. I'll lean towards Jaquez just because Bay's ownership has been a little bit inflated on recent slates. They're very comparable, though. There isn't that much of a difference between them. And then I think there was a couple other super chats here. There are. We've got Dustin. Dustin Stringer wants to know, should he be keeping Myron Gardner in his lineup? Probably not. So Myron Gardner was looking like a pretty decent value option when he was expected to start. We had him projected for, what was it? Like a little bit over 20 fantasy points, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we had him projected for 21.36 fantasy points. But now that he's coming off the bench, I mean, it doesn't make him unplayable. They're just better options to go to on the slate. So it depends what you could get to. But yeah, you probably want to swap to a better value option than Myron Gardner now that he isn't starting. Next question here. Note for Jason. All right. Fontecchio and Wolf or Caldwell and Jokic in a GPP lineup. I have to go towards the Caldwell and Jokic side. So for myself, I have Jokic in 99% of lineups right now. Now, part of it is because I kind of made little adjustments to the Denver guys' projections just in case Jamal Murray gets rolled out. But I mean, either way, if I have Jokic in a lineup and Jamal Murray plays, like I'm not aggrieved by it. I'm not like, oh shit, I have Nikola Jokic. He's the best pay up option on the slate. But in the event that Jamal Murray doesn't play, Jokic is going to project for like 70 fantasy points for us. So I'm going to go with the Jokic side there, Jokic and Cardwell. Lock him in. Lock in Jokic for today. Sally Sal wants to know, do I like Anthony Simons over on FanDuel? So go to our FanDuel projection. By the way, we just got a data update, so we'll go over that with Kalel Ware in a second after answering this question. So Anthony Simons still underpriced on FanDuel at $5,800. I know our projection on him isn't like massively high or anything like that. 7% optimal rate at $5,800. But I do think that Anthony Simons per minute rates have some more upside than what they're projected to be, just because his situation is so much different now than what it was earlier on in the season. So he's not necessarily like my favorite play on the slate, but yeah, I do like Anthony Simons a little bit against the Nets for today. All right, let's look at the Miami Heat updated projections. Are you ready? Miami Heat, what do we got? We have now Kalel Ware. Yeah, here it is. If you guys remember that quick math that I did before where I was like, if we put him in for 27 minutes, he's going to be a little bit over 33 fantasy points. Well, here's what we got. We went a little bit lower on his minutes, 25.5. But in 25.5 minutes, Kalel Ware is projecting for 31.5 fantasy points. And he is live to play 27, 28 minutes today, which would then put him at 33, 34 fantasy points. So Kalel Ware looks really solid. On the other side, we've got Myron Gardner. His projection actually still looks okay, 20.17 fantasy points. So maybe I was a little bit too harsh telling you to swap off him before, Dustin. Like, I still think there's probably going to be better value options overall on the slate that will open up, but he's not unplayable. Like, if you're in a pinch and that's just the amount of salary you've left, he's still fine to play at this kind of projection. Let's go over to the FanDuel side of things. Ownership, by the way, we've got Kalel Ware now projected for 43% optimal rate on 32% projected ownership. He's going to be under-owned today. No doubt about it, considering the late news here. Now, on the FanDuel side of things with the Miami Heat. All right. FanDuel side of things, Miami Heat, you've got Kalel Ware at $5,500. So a little bit more expensive, but he does come with power forward and center eligibility. So with a 32.5 fantasy point projection over on FanDuel, yeah, Kalel Ware still looks really good on the FanDuel side of things. I think he's the top play on the slate, in my opinion, on both FanDuel and DraftKings, with ownership being considered, because I just don't think people are going to be swapping to him in the way that they should. So with that in mind, let's start making some updates to our lineups. I'm going to run all my stuff through the late swap tool, And then after that, we'll start building out some of our parlays for the night, and we'll wait on some Denver Nuggets news. Here we go. Time to kick off some late swaps. I hope I get to a ton of Khalil Ware. That's the dream. That is the dream here. All right. I also don't want to lose some of the tinkering that I did earlier with some of the Denver projections. So I'm just going to change the Miami guys for myself. And were there any other questions here while I update everything? Bastion. Chance that De Silva is out of the rotation with Franz back. So I don't think he's going to be out of the rotation. You'll see here we've got a projection on him for 18 minutes. So I think it's fairly low chance that he's out of the rotation. I just don't think he's going to play a significant role in the rotation. If you're asking for DFS purposes, don't play Tristan De Silva in DFS if that's the reason you're asking. Keep in mind also, Franz is going to be playing limited minutes today. We're not getting a full workload out of Franz. I'd be very surprised if we get 0 minutes out of Tristan De Silva. I would also be surprised if he has some sort of massive ceiling game, though. And all right, all my stuff is looking good to run through the late swap. I'll let you guys know after I run this through how much exposure I have to Khalil Ware. This might bring down my Jokic exposure. My Jokic exposure can't go up. I 99.3%. I'm 149 out of 150 lineups for myself had Nikola Jokic. So I know it's not going to go up. I'm just kind of curious how much having the availability of Khalil Ware as a top value option impacts my Jokic exposure, and then what the trickle-down effect of that ends up being for other pay-up options on the slate. That's kind of what I'm looking out for in this late swap run. DK801, do I expect Gay to start and then struggling to prioritize forwards of Wolf, Gay, Strother, etc.? So for myself, I really like getting to Strother just from a standpoint of he's going to be very low owned. So we have Julian Strother projected for... what is it? 5% ownership right now. Now, if Jamal Murray plays, you're not going to be all that happy that you have Julian Strother. Not that he's terrible to 21 fantasy points at $4,200. That's still serviceable from a points per dollar perspective. But in the event that Jamal Murray's out, all of a sudden you're getting a 26, 27 fantasy point projection out of Strother at really low ownership. So some of it's going to depend on what else you have in your lineup there. But I like trying to get a little bit different and having Julian Strother in lineups. That's what I'm doing. And my late swap run is underway. First go of it. See what ends up looking good or not good. Jazz starting lineup, Collier, Ace Bailey, Markkanen, Jackson, Nurkic. No massive surprises there. And looks like no other questions at the moment. So we're good on that end. Let's see. Did we have... oh, looks like we actually did one other projections update here. What did we do with the Heat, if anything? Let's go back over to Miami and just make sure that there's no kind of crazy change that I should be relaying to you guys. So we now have... we actually upped Khalil Ware a little bit. All right, now he's almost exactly in line with the... if you guys remember, I gave a rough projection of 32.75 fantasy points on Khalil Ware when we first found out he was starting. Well, there. Now our projection is updated and came very close with my gut projection that I did right off the top there. Because now we got Ware for 32.94 fantasy points. All right, I dig it. So that'll end up with me getting to even more of him. And let's go. Let's run it. Sniff's asking, is late swap running? I think so. I've got it going on my computer right now. Let you know if I run into any issues. Chat, how are we doing so far? Lineup's looking okay. 10 minutes into the slate. By the way, Sniffs. Yeah, I just ran late swap and didn't have any issues. It updated my lineups here. I've got Kalel Ware in not enough lineups. I've got 44% of Kalel Ware. I want to up that. I mean, obviously, that's more than the minimal amount that I had before, but still, I want more Kalel Ware than 44%. I think I do anyway. But I'll see. If I run everything through the late swap again, and that's just the number I get, then it's not like 44% is an insignificant amount. But I think doing one more swap should get me to more of them. That'll happen, by the way. Kind of like a pro tip to using the late swap. If there's massive changes, like something like Kalel Ware not being somebody who's a massive consideration, then all of a sudden he's starting, he's one of the top points per dollar plays on the slate. And if you run everything through the late swap tool and it's like 110 of 150 lineups change, there's a pretty good chance that you should do it a second run, just because so much change that it probably makes sense to do another run and make sure that you're getting all of the top value options there. All right, so I have Ware now in 52% of lineups. All right, so still a lot of him for me. Not as much as I thought I was going to, but it's a healthy amount. For some other questions we have in Discord, Omega 2K1 is Ware a good yes, Kalel Ware is a very good DraftKings swap. He says he's playing one lineup today. If you're playing one lineup today, Kalel Ware should be in it, in my opinion. DK, how much McCollum do I have? I have McCollum in 58% of lineups now on that swap that I just made. And then Sally Sale wants to know Caldwell or Ware. I prefer Ware to Caldwell. Both of them, for sure, good options, but I prefer Ware if it's just a 1v1. Let's see, were there any other super chats or anything? Nope. I'll run everything through the late swap one more time just in case we had a live score update, but I feel pretty good with where I'm at. Maybe I'll get I wouldn't mind a little bit more of Kalel Ware, but I've got 52% of him. That's not the end of the world either. It's a pretty healthy amount. It's hard for Jokic to not show up in almost all of my lineups in the late swap tool when I've got him boosted a little bit for the potential absence of Jamal Murray today. So I understand why Jokic just isn't coming out of lineups. Let's see. Sniffs, by the way, did you get a late swap figured out? A couple people in chat also saying they're not running into any issues. So shouldn't be a problem. You should be good to go. And I just ran a couple of swaps to, really optimize everything and ran smooth. No issues for me. One final run here. Was Murray upgraded? Somebody in chat saying that. He is expected to play. Okay. All right. So now I have to once again redo all of my stuff here because I was anticipating Jamal Murray to potentially not play. So now I'm going to have to do one more alteration to my lineups here. So here's what's going to happen. Yeah, I just saw that come through. Jamal Murray now expected to play. So this is going to make, I talked a little bit about Julian Strawther as a potential contrarian option. I don't really like Strawther all that much now. This makes Strawther considerably less appealing to me. Considerably less. All right. Well, another swap and just undoing the alterations that I made to the Denver guys. This is probably going to end up getting me to even more of Kalel Ware. Because now I'm still going to have a lot of Jokic, but probably closer to like 70 or 80% of Jokic instead of 99%. Ankle breaker. Where does this leave Wolf's DK ownership for Ware? So here's what we've got. We've got Wolf projected for 26% ownership and a 29% optimal rate. We've got Ware projected for 37% ownership and a 42% optimal rate here. I think Kalel Ware is the better option of the two. And that's not to say that Wolf isn't a good option. It's just that Ware is the much better option of the two, in my opinion. And yeah, I got a little bit less of Jokic now, and that upped my my Khalil Ware exposure to 69% now with Jamal Murray expected to play and undoing some of the adjustments that I made to the Denver guys. It's funny, get ready for an NBA DFS slate, sit here and, spend 30 minutes fine combing through all the Denver guys and figuring out like, how do I want to boost them and potentially get myself some leverage for Jamal Murray potentially not playing. And then the slate gets underway. We find out Jamal Murray's going to play. Only one game is locked, and I have to undo all of the changes that I made in a way that impacts my lineups, but like just didn't really matter for the slate because only one game is locked so far. Also, yeah, just to double back on this, mentioned it a second ago, but want to make it clear, I'm going to be getting off of Strother now. Strother is not going to be showing up in lineups for me, at least not in a meaningful way. Like I had a bunch of Strother before, and now I have, let's see, I have 8% of Strother now. So like he still exists on the slate, but just not in the same way that he did before. Because before I thought he was a really strong contrarian option. Now he's just like a last man in if that's the salary needed to fill out a lineup. All right, I'm going to do one more swap, taking everything into account here before the 7:30 games start. And then I think that we will be good to start building out some parlays until more news hits. See what other questions came in while we were dealing with that. DK801, Yabusele or Cardwell? I prefer Cardwell to Yabusele. I certainly prefer Cardwell. Let's see. Also, good question. Some people asking about Jamal Murray. Did I get to Jamal Murray? I have 8% of Murray. So some. More than the 0% I had before. All right, lineups are looking good. I'm uploading them, which, I mean, running out of time. Only 2 minutes left. Got to upload them eventually, or else they don't get played. Tariq of Sky, that's Eric's Nuke. Which is Eric's Nuke? Jamal Murray? Or somebody else? I was messing around with all my stuff, so I didn't catch their nukes. All right, let's build out some lineups here. Or sorry, some parlays. So we have on FanDuel, I believe it is a 25% same game parlay boost. I think that's what it was. And then there was also a same game parlay boost over on DraftKings. So we'll build one out for FanDuel, we'll build one out for DraftKings, and of course, all that using the Stokastic props tool, which if you guys want to sign up, the link to sign up is down below in the YouTube description box. I've been on a big heater using our tools as of late, so I want to be keeping it going here. We did win one 14-1 same game parlay last week. So let's see if we can get another long parlay win for today before we get into the break. Because we just got a few slates left here. And the Thursday one's small. The Thursday slate's only 3 games. So we got like 3 days to try to really take advantage of some bigger NBA slates and hit on another longer leg SGP. All right, so here's what we got for FanDuel. Just confirming. We have a boost of 25%, 3-leg same game parlay or same game parlay plus. All right, so let's just go to FanDuel here. So we're only pulling in FanDuel bets. Because Caesars bets, DraftKings bets, they don't help us when we're building a FanDuel parlay. All right, first thing we like to do here is what kind of commonalities are we seeing in terms of player projections towards the top of the board? Ooh, this is interesting. Makes sense, right? Some unders on Denver now that Jamal Murray's in. Yeah, maybe books haven't quite adjusted for this entirely. Let's look at this. Let's see how many of the unders look decent on the Nuggets. So the Jokic assist under, which totally makes sense. What else? Strother kind of over-ish. Yeah, not as much as I would have liked. I do like the under as a bet for FanDuel. I do like under 9.5 assists at plus money for Jokic, but I don't love too many of the other bets here. We need to find 3. But if you want to just play that as a single, Jokic under 9.5 assists at plus money, totally reasonable. And Boss Bro, don't worry, I'll build out a DraftKings one as well. Just starting with FanDuel first, but doesn't mean we won't get to DraftKings. We'll absolutely be building out same game parlays for both. Johnny Late Slate is Risache a good pivot from Strother? I'd rather play Strother than Risache. And oh no, read that super chat already. All right, so let's see what else projects well. We've got some Memphis guys here, and that's a later game as well, so it'd give people more time to get the bet in. That Memphis team, I do like overs for rebounds on Memphis. We talked about this a little bit last week in terms of after the Triple J trade, who the hell is going to pull down rebounds for the Memphis Grizzlies? It is such a small team. They've got like nothing but guards. So they're kind of shorthanded today. Walter Clayton's questionable. He could end up sitting. As far as big man on the team, you've got GG Jackson. Santi Aldama's out again today. Edie remains out. So like, who's playing the front court minutes? Taylor Hendricks, who sucks. Olivia Maxence Prosper, who sucks. Kyle Anderson used to be good, just super old now, and teams just don't like to give him minutes. And then you got GG Jackson, who's an inconsistent younger player. I think it makes a lot of sense to take a look at some of these overs on rebounds for the Memphis guys. They have nobody could pull down rebounds for them. The question is going to be, just like playing time. How reliable is that going to be? But you see the top 2 bets that we have here, over 3.5 rebounds plus money for Scottie Pippen Jr. on that line. Over 3.5 rebounds for Jalen Wells, plus money on that line as well. Then what else projects well? You've got another rebound prop on Cedric Howard. I don't know that I want to bet every single player in a same game parlay for over rebounds on Memphis. I do think individually it makes sense to take a bunch of these rebound props. It's just a little bit thin sledding if you bet every player on the team over rebound prop together. But one thing that I do think makes sense, you guys will see it here as well, is Cedric Howard for under 2.5 assists. For the same reason that I kind of like the overs on rebounds here, and these project really well. Let's go the Jalen Wells and Scottie Pippen Jr. We'll put their rebounds in. Low numbers, decent projections. Jalen Wells projected for 4.3 rebounds. Scottie Pippen Jr. projected for 4.1, plus money on the over 3.5 on both. And then Cedric Howard, if there are no big men for Memphis, what does that mean? A shit ton of guards. Cedric Howard, Ty Jerome, Scottie Pippen Jr., Jalen Wells, Cam Spencer, all of these guys are going to have the ball in their hands, and they're all going to be fighting for playmaking opportunities. So Cedric Howard is a guy who plays a little bit more off the ball. I do like him for under 2.5 assists here. I just don't think he's going to get a lot of potential assists. So here's what we've got. Nice correlated same game parlay. And I'll post this to Tails after I place the bet for my phone here. We are going with the Memphis game. All players from Memphis. We've got Jalen Wells. Just making sure these lines are still here. Jalen Wells over 3.5 rebounds, plus 106. Still there. Scottie Pippen Jr. over 3.5 rebounds, plus 118. That is still there. And then we've got the assist prop on Cedric Howard, which is also, all right, good to go. Going to use my boost on it. So this comes out to plus 782. And this is going up on Tails right now. If you guys want to use Tails, by the way, just go to tails.bet or download the Tails app. Totally free to use. Everything I post there is free. And it's also pretty easy to tail the bets because it's deep linked, one click betting. So what'll happen when I post this over to Tails is it'll populate a link to the FanDuel bet slip. And if you just click on that when you go to Tails, it'll bring you right to FanDuel and have that preloaded in. Yeah. Boss Bro in chat saying, Triple J doesn't rebound either. True. That's not incorrect. But with that said, no Santi Aldama. They also traded Jock Landale. Remember, they had Jock Landale there before to pull down rebounds. They don't like Jaren Jackson Jr. would lead this team in rebounds with who they have available right now. Like, he isn't the only player they lost. All right, here we go. This is going up on Tails right now. So if you guys want to easily tail it, you go over to Tails, and that should be up in a second. I'm going to double check to make sure that no more questions came in. And if not, we'll start looking at some of the DraftKings boosts that we have available for today. All right, Discord questions. Here we go. DK801, less of a question, but more of a nice comment. He says, "You're great at these solo shows. Appreciate the work." Well, thank you. I appreciate you following along. Starting lineup for the Atlanta Hawks: NAW, McCollum, Risache, Newell, and then Okongwu. All right. Asa Newell starting for Atlanta. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Do we get the Sacramento starting lineup yet? That one come in? Did we get the Sacramento starter? Oh, yeah, we did. Okay, we got that a minute ago, too. All right, so we do not have Devin Carter starting. Were we projecting him to start? We've got Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, Nick Clifford, Precious Achiuwa, and Maxime Renaud. Okay, not a massive change. We had Devin Carter coming off the bench, so this isn't something that's going to like kill his projection or anything. He's projected for 28.5 minutes. He's cheap at $3,800, so this shouldn't hurt him all that much. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, he was not projected to start. I just wanted to double check because you never know sometimes with some of the like really high projected value guys what the expectation is there. But we did have him expected to come off the bench. But one thing that I think did we have Mo Gay projected to start? We did. We did have Mo Gay projected to start, and he is not starting because I just went over the Atlanta Hawks starting lineup, and it's Asa Newell starting over Mo Gay. So this is going to make Mo Gay look less appealing. And he was somebody who's pulling 21% ownership, had a 31% optimal rate. He's still viable, but he is not going to be projecting quite as well now that he's coming off the bench. So that is something that we're going to have to make some adjustments for. We are going to have to make some adjustments for Asa Newell starting ahead of Mo Gay. So we had Mo Gay in for 24.5 minutes and 22.5 fantasy points. I would guess now we get Mo Gay for, let's see, what has he played in some of his more recent games off the bench? Mo Gay, 9 minutes, 22 minutes, 20.5 minutes, 19 minutes, 14.9. Yeah, we might be getting Mo Gay for like a 20-minute projection now, maybe 21 minutes, something like that. So that's gonna take like 3 fantasy points or so off his projection at $3,400. Still fine as a points per dollar play, but I had him in how many lineups before? Yeah, I had a lot of Gay. I had 49. I was 49% Gay before. And now he is going to be in, I don't know, 20% of lineups, 15% or something for me. Unless the projection just doesn't change as much as I anticipate it to. For people asking about projections, the starting lineup just came out, so I don't think we have that projection updated yet. But it'll be soon. It'll certainly be soon. And when we get that update, I'll be showing it to you guys on screen, and then we'll make our lineup adjustments, and then we'll go and we'll build our DraftKings same game parlay. I am also going to check while we're waiting for the projections to update. I'm just going to check to see what boost we have on DraftKings, so we could use some of these. All right, DraftKings boosts. Oh, here's a quick one that we could do. All-Star Power Hour. 25% boost for Mitchell or Jokic to score more points. All right, this will be a fun one to look at in our stat projections while we're waiting for the DFS projections to all update. We've got Jokic projected for 29.4 points and Mitchell for 27.1. All right, let's see what's the line. Ooh, pretty close. I'm going to take the spread here. So for the spread, it's Jokic minus 1.5 points at minus 108. See, look here, we've got Jokic projected for 2.3 more points than Donovan Mitchell. So even though Jamal Murray's in, keep in mind, Donovan Mitchell is going to be competing for touches with James Harden now in Cleveland. I'm going to go Nikola Jokic minus 1.5. Oh, does it not let me use the boost on that? Oh, it only lets you take the money line. You can't use the You can't use the spread. All right, either way, I'm going to use the boost. What's the most we're allowed to bet here? It says $10. All right. So Nikola Jokic minus 105 to score more points than Donovan Mitchell with the boost. So we're getting him basically to pick him 29.4 points versus 27.1. I think that's some good value. By the way, Nate, I agree. You don't have to swap off Strother. I just really liked Strother before. And now he's just like a guy. Like, he's fine to have, but I don't want him. I don't want him to be in like 30 to 40% of lineups like I was going to have previously. Mastermind Magruder, Carter Nurkic or Murphy Zion. I prefer the So Devin Carter is one of my favorite plays overall on the slate. The problem, though, there's multiple problems here. I don't like Nurkic at all today. I don't want to play Nurkic. And then Trey Murphy is overpriced to me. Zion is solid for sure. Oof. I don't like either of those combos. Love Carter, hate Nurkic, and then Murphy and Zion. I don't want them paired together if I could prevent it. I'll say Carter and Nurkic, but don't love those options. Chad, Precious starting over Caldwell, PA or Caldwell. So let's go and check. Our projections probably just about updated now. Let's see. They are. Let's go to the Kings. And they'll also go to Atlanta. Okay, so for the Kings, we have Carter still there for 29 fantasy points. Perfect. Looks good. Caldwell, we still have for 28.5 minutes. And then we've got Precious Achiuwa for, look at the big difference in fantasy projection. Achiuwa for 19 fantasy points, and then Caldwell for 28.5. You're playing Caldwell over Precious Achiuwa. There. JB Hughes, hey, my guy, would you play CJ and NAW together? Let's see. It's okay. But if you're hand building one line, my preference is to not. Like, there's still two really good options, so it's not the end of the world. My preference would be no, but it's okay. Let's check out the Atlanta projections now, and then we'll start working on our next round of late swaps. What do we got? What do we got Gay for? Yeah, like we're kind of speculating. 21.5 fantasy points for him. So his minutes projection didn't come down quite as much as I thought it was going to. I thought we were going to shave maybe like another minute off of Gay there. But you've got Mo Gay, who was previously projected for almost 23 fantasy points. So he lost about 1.5 fantasy points off his projection, Mo Gay. Yes, it's just going to make him look a little bit worse. So let's start working on some late swaps. And here we got Richie in the chat saying, yeah, for sure, Sacramento is tanking and their bench guys end up playing a ton. Yeah, that's also a good point by Rich that I'll leave up here. Even in the games where their veterans have played, like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, they've been playing limited minutes as of late, and they just play their bench guys more minutes. I still think we're going to see Sacramento prioritize giving their young guys playing time, which makes sense too. Like, think about a guy like Devin Carter, for instance. First round pick last year, just didn't really get playing time. But they were also like competitive last year. Certainly more competitive than they were this year, or than they've been this year. Now, time to start tanking on the season. You don't want to end the year without knowing if Devin Carter is a future viable rotation piece. And that's what I think the second half of the season is going to be for the Sacramento Kings, just discovery. The only thing they could do to salvage the season at this point, they should have traded away some of their veterans at the deadline, but that ship has sailed at this point. Play their young guys minutes, like Cardwell, like Devin Carter, and figure out, are these guys that we're going to want to play on our team in the future? So I still feel good that we're going to see those guys play minutes. Now, it is dumb. Like, just start them. If you're going to play them more minutes, why not just have them start? But whatever. Everything they do is ass backwards. So, like, there's no logic being applied here. But I do expect some of the bench guys like Carter and Cardwell to play more than the starters anyway. That's what they've been doing. It's stupid, but that's what they like doing. Maybe they prefer the young guys to play against lesser competition, and they get staggered off of the other team's starters by coming off the bench. Maybe that's the logic. It's the only thing I could think of. I don't know why else you just have the guys you want to play more minutes come off the bench. I don't know why, but it's what they're doing. Jabo, best 4,500 utility play after the injury news. Let's see. Best 4,500 utility play. Let me see. I don't know all of the price tags. That's going to be Devin Carter. Has to be. Under 4,500. I'll just look at our projections and scroll down until we find somebody under 4,500. Yeah. Devin Carter, 3,800. We've got projected for 29 fantasy points. Then you've got Cardwell for 28.5 fantasy points, also in that price range. So those guys, depending who you do or don't have. Jay Perez, unfortunately, I'm a Kings fan. Well, condolences. I mean, there's nothing fun to root for in that team. Even the pieces they put together, it's not only is it not fun, but you've already seen it fail somewhere else. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan combo. I know that Vooch and Sabonis aren't the exact same player, but they're similar enough to where the Kings should have realized, like, oh, this is probably not going to be a winning combination of players we put together. But they did, and shocker, it didn't work out. Adding Russell Westbrook to the mix didn't help either. Crazy. All right, working on my swaps here. And well, I forgot we got the 9 p.m. Cleveland game where we've still got Tyson questionable and Dean Wade. So that could still move a little bit of things around later. But Jamal Murray being in makes it less than what it could have otherwise been. By the way, the projection on Austin Newell, because some people are asking about him. We've got Newell projected for 18 fantasy points at $3,200. I don't think he's going to show up in very many lineups for me. Maybe a couple, but he doesn't project especially well. And we've got Austin Newell as a 0.82 fantasy point per minute guy, only projected for 22 minutes. So we got like him and Mo Gay splitting playing time there. Super chat from Michael. FanDuel, Plowden, Okongwu, or Strother and Bay? Give me the Plowden and Okongwu combo. Easily would have been the Strother side if Jamal Murray was out, but he isn't. Looks like we just did one more projections update. All right. I've already got a late swap running, but I'll run one more with the updated projections after this one. And while this runs, were there any Discord questions? By the way, guys, after this, show's going very quickly, by the way, we'll build out that DraftKings same game parlay. The much anticipated DraftKings same game parlay. But we got off track by having to update our DFS lineups by weird starting lineup changes. And we did get the one DraftKings bet. We took the Nikola Jokic points against Donovan Mitchell. We built out the FanDuel same game parlay. All right, let's see what changes with my lineups here. So what I'm most interested to see when the sim is done running is how much Gay do I have? What's changed there? Well, 78 of my lineups changed at a 150. I do have 7% of Austin Newell, so I'm playing a little bit of him, it looks like. People asking about Plowden. Plowden does not project quite as well for us now. Plowden's projection has come down to 19.5 at 4K. So he does not look nearly as good. Devin Carter still looks good. Cardwell still looks good. Plowden less so. I lost a lot of Plowden here. What else changed? I got to a little bit more McCollum. What did I lose? Yeah, so I lost. I said I had 49% of Moge. That went down to 22%. And presumably I'll run one more late swap after this. And I'll probably get even less of Moge. I still have a ton of Cardwell, by the way. Cardwell isn't going anywhere. He is sticking in my lineups. We're riding with him. Going to do one more swap here, and then I'll let you know what the number is on Cardwell. I saw somebody asked about that in Discord as well. That was, yeah, DK. Sniffs wants to know, with Newell starting at only 4%, is he worth a boost? I don't know that he's... If you're getting 0% and you want some of them, sure. But, I mean, I just read off. I've got a few lineups with Newell, but nothing crazy. Sally Sal, favorite late hammer on FanDuel, Jokic. Jokic. Mastermind Magruder, Resache or Plowden? Now it's going to be Resache over Plowden for me, that projections come down on Plowden. I have Plowden now in... I have 6% of Plowden now. So he does not look very good. I have 18% of Resache. So Resache over Plowden for me. And then as far as Cardwell goes, I still have 60% of Cardwell, so I'm playing a lot of him. Moge down to 16% owned in my lineups. I'm cool with that. I'm good with rolling out 16% of him. All right, these lineups look good to upload. So I'm going to upload these. And then we'll build out our DraftKings same game parlay to bring us home. These hours go quick. What are the stats looking like on the slate too? I've just been sitting here talking, swapping my lineups, building some same game parlays. Haven't looked at the slate once. Cade going crazy. Cade is 15 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Okay. LaMelo up to 10, 3, and 2. Boy, this Hornets team just anytime I look at the Hornets over the last month, they're winning a basketball game. The Nets are beating the Bulls. Well, that's pathetic, but the Bulls suck. Ooh, Noah Clowney, 9 points and 2 boards for him. Okay. Jazz and the Heat, that just started here. We've got 3 points and a board quickly here for Khalil Ware. I'll take that. Fontecchio, he's got a 3. We did single out his over on points before, so that looks good. But obviously the 7:30 game just kind of getting started. All right, let's build out our DraftKings same game parlay. And then after I build it out, I'll post the details and we'll be done here for the night. All right, so let's go DraftKings. Turn off the FanDuel projections. Let's go to all the top bets and see what's looking good on the DraftKings side. So I don't know that we want to necessarily do all of the same props that we did over on FanDuel, because I also see we got the Scottie Pippen Jr. prop right at the top of the board on the DraftKings side of things. Still good as a bet, but we can look elsewhere. Let's see. What else do we have here? We've got, what are some commonalities in terms of games? Probably don't want to look at the 8 p.m. games just because they're starting in 5 minutes. I don't know if we'll have time to finish it, and then might not give people time to tail it on tails after I post it. At least from the data, we really should be going back to the Memphis game if we want the most possible value, but we've already built that out. What about is there anything for Cleveland-Denver now? That Jokic line, once again, So over on FanDuel, we were getting under 9.5 assists at plus money on the DraftKings side of things, under 10.5 assists. So once again, I think that line's a little bit too high with Jamal Murray back in the mix. So let's build out a same game parlay for the Cleveland-Denver game. Let's go with Nikola Jokic, under 10.5 assists to start us off here. Then what else do we have on the Cleveland side? Well, some of the unders on the Cleveland side are a little bit worrying, just from a standpoint of, like what happens if Tyson gets ruled out and Dean Wade, then all of a sudden some of those role players are going to be playing more minutes like Schroeder, like Keon Ellis. We do have an over that projects well here on Julian Strawther. Now, if Jamal Murray was out, this would be an absolute smash on Strawther, but keep in mind, there's still other guys out. Somebody, I think, forgetting who it is that said it to give credit to, but it was very fair to say that Denver, missing Spencer Jones, missing Peyton Watson, missing Aaron Gordon, you still have minutes available for Julian Strawther. He's still going to start. He's still going to play like 26 to 28 minutes. So over 3.5 rebounds at plus 124. Yeah, I mean, that's a very viable line there on Julian Strawther. Then what else here? Oh, here's something else that I don't think is really properly being taken into account for the Cleveland side of games. And this won't matter as much with like the Tyson news and whatnot. But James Harden playing alongside Donovan Mitchell, he is not going to have the same assist opportunities as what he had with the Clippers. It's really hard to look at on-off court numbers because we've got James Harden playing a total of 1 game with Cleveland. So there just isn't that much data to go off of. But it is kind of worth noting that for the season, he has a 28% usage rate, and his first game with Cleveland, he had a 23.5% usage rate. And yeah, obviously, like assists aren't necessarily going to be something that takes, like usage doesn't take assists into account, but it just goes to show that James Harden's role, it should be a little bit lower playing with another ball-dominant guard in Donovan Mitchell compared to what he was playing with in Los Angeles, which was a frequently banged-up Kawhi Leonard or just not as many guys who are capable of handling the basketball. So I do like the under here on James Harden. Let's see, how many legs did we have to do? 3. Usually DraftKings requires us to build out 4 legs. But let me double check if it's 3 or 4 legs. Because if we could do 3 legs, then I'm good with locking this in. If it has to be 4 legs, then we'll find one more that we like from this game. DraftKings do it. Now they won't let me log in for my phone. Let's try again. I was logged in fine before without any issues. PTSD from what happened last week. Where I got the spinning circle of doom while on a show and started lagging out. All right, let's see. It is a... How many legs? Let's see. 30% same game parlay boost, minimum 4 legs. Okay. So we have to do 4 legs. So let's find one more bet that we like from this game. We've got 3 so far. We'll have to remove the other ones from earlier. Didn't clear those out. But all right, so we've got Nikola Jokic under 10.5 assists, Julian Strawther over 3.5 rebounds, James Harden under 8.5 assists. One more. Do we go for, are there any other unders on Harden props here? Low points prop on Harden. Don't want to touch that, though. I guess the same sort of idea here on Donovan Mitchell. Like, Donovan Mitchell also is going to have a little bit less of a role with the ball in his hands. Now, even though he's played, a lot with Darius Garland, obviously, Garland's missed a ton of time this season. So it's not an exact 1-for-1, but I want to look at the on-off court numbers and just see how many assists. I think this is like the best way that we could kind of figure something out. Let's look at assists per 36 minutes for Donovan Mitchell when Darius Garland is on the court this year. All right. So with Darius Garland on the court this year, 5.2. Yeah, makes sense. So with Garland on the court this year, Mitchell's he scores or puts up like 1 less assist per 36 minutes. And then you've also got a slightly more ball dominant player in James Harden compared to Darius Garland. So I could get behind this. Let's go Donovan Mitchell under 4.5 assists. Now let's plug this in. So we have for rebounds, Julian Strawther over 3.5. That's plus 137. Oh, the line's gone more favorable line now. It's plus 137 now. We can actually get it at. Cool. That works for me. Then let's go to the assists because all the rest of the props here are going to be assists. We've got for Jokic, the Jokic line has gotten a little bit worse. Well, that'll offset the Strawther one getting a little bit better. James Harden under 8.5 assists, minus 144. That's still there. And then the Donovan Mitchell one is still there also. So what does this come out to? So with the boost, this is plus 1170. And we could bet up to, it says $20. And then when I try to bet it, it lets me get $11 in. Okay. So Julian Strawther over 3.5 rebounds. By the way, it looks like the 4+ line is a little bit better than over 3.5. So select that one. Under 5.5 assists for Donovan Mitchell, under 8.5 assists for James Harden, and under 10.5 assists for Nikola Jokic. Lots of assist unders in this one. And I'm posting this to Tails as well right now. Should be up in a second. Then I'll make sure that there was no final questions from you guys. And if there aren't, that'll close out the night. Going up on Tails. If you guys haven't done yet, by the way, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help keep our content free. Very much appreciated. Doesn't cost you anything. Just a second of your time. Maybe a little bit of energy in your pointer finger. All right. Posting to Tails now. No super chats. John Daly, what's for dinner? No clue. No clue. Might just make eggs. Sledge, where did he get in foul trouble? Let's see. What did Ware do? Yeah, unfortunately. At least the good thing is he put up 3 points and 3 boards before getting into foul trouble. It is certainly annoying, though. Certainly a little bit annoying. Well, hopefully he could stay out of foul trouble the rest of the game at least. How much Cade do I have? Cade is just going nuts right now. Not enough, 7%. All right. Well, guys, that is going to do it for us today. Thank you all very much for watching the show. Good luck with all your lineups. Hopefully, we hit on another one of our longer SGP bets. Here's like the general goal. If we could hit one long leg SGP bet per week, then we're going to be coming out ahead on those. That's the goal. At least one per week, and I think we'll be looking good. All right, guys. Good night. Good luck with your lineups. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace out, guys.